Alright guys, so I got a package in today from Funky Traps, and it's my Berkshire disposable stake ends. And then I got also restocked the supply of trap tags. And also I picked up a whole bunch of these snap rings. I think I'm going to try these. I know Hoosier uses a lot of them. So we're going to try to use these for my disposable stake ends, which we're going to start working on today. So to give you guys a hint is nothing gets wasted when it comes to me and my trapping stuff. So I had, this is a little bit smaller, but I had an old timer give me a bunch of these, they called them coyote snares, but it's I think it's a 3/32 cable snare. Yeah, so this was his coyote snare. So it's just got the washer on it. It's a 3/32 cable, and it has a plain loop. I don't like these. He's retired. He doesn't trap anymore. If I was going to use this, I might use it for a raccoon, but I've actually watched a raccoon pop one of these snares. So I don't use them. But they won't go to waste. What I'll end up doing is I'll cut the ends off, save the parts because somebody else will use them, and I'll take this. I've already got a looped end on here, and I'll cut it to my length I want for my disposable stake, which is probably about there. I like my disposable stakes just a little bit shorter, about 10 to 12 inches. And there you go. One disposable stake made out of a snare. Yeah, there's not much to them. I mean, I'm using snares that otherwise I probably would have just chucked because I don't like using a small cable. I'll give you an example of the size difference, but here's the snares I build. This is an 1/8 inch cable. It's got a swiveled end on it, and I'm in Iowa, so I'm allowed to use snares, not just cable restraints. No, I've been talking with Trapper Jay about it, but obviously this one doesn't have the deer stop. I've got plenty of those up here, but this is my standard coyote snare. I make them myself. One of my next videos, I'm just waiting on the cable to come in, is I'll show you guys how I make these. But that's about my general size snare loop, and you run them about 10 to 12 inches off the ground. My issue with these, again, I've told you once, is I've had coons chew out of these and snap them right in front of my eyes. I was taking pictures of the coon because I was like, oh, he's in a snare, he's not going anywhere, because he was in one of my coyote snares. Needless to say, after my last picture, I watched him pop the cable and took off running. So after watching that, I've always had issues with coyotes chewing out of them, but I've never seen a raccoon chew out of a snare before. But right there, I watched it last year right in front of me, 2 feet right there. I pretty much decided after that point on I was going to make my own snares. One, I made them. So I know what I'm getting into, and I don't have anybody else to hold accountable for what I do. Two, I have never had a coyote break out of one of these 7x7 1/8 inch cabled snares that I make. I've never had them. I've had them get close, like fray them down, but there's still like 32 strands in there. So it's yeah, these, I make them. I live by them. If you price them out and look for them online, they're about $25 to $30 a dozen, and they're labeled as wolf, mountain lion, and hog snares, which I wouldn't even think. I don't even think I'd try to go after a wolf with this size cable. I mean, if I've had coyotes about chew halfway out of them, and that's with the 24-hour check law, I couldn't imagine what it'd be like, unless you put a kill spring on here, what it'd be like for a wolf or a mountain lion to get on there. But this video is just mostly to show you how I use those smaller snares that people give me, or that I've had a bunch from years ago that I just cut up and I quit using them after watching this. So instead of wasting them, put them to work. I mean, I got another one here. Even though I won't use this cable on a snare, I will, however, use them on a disposable stake. Reasoning behind it is, when you hook it onto your trap, I'll get one out here. Try one of these snap rings. So when you hook it onto your trap, it's a long story. So we got it hooked on there. It's running to the ground. I've got 2 swivel points here, right at the stake end. I've got another set of swivels here, and I have a swivel here. That's not going to allow that animal or the coyote to spin that cable at all. And that's how these snares break, is when them coyotes are spinning in a snare, they spin it against the grain of the twist pattern on there. And so they spin against it, and that breaks up them fibers, and then they start chewing on it, and that starts popping those individual strands. Together they're strong, but just like anything else in the world, as we separate ourselves, or as they separate them, it's easier for them to pop single strands versus trying to do this. But for a disposable stake, he can't get to it because all that's underground. And you've got 3 different swivel points on here. So that's just why I don't mind using the smaller cable for when I'm running my disposable stakes. It seems to work. I've never had issues. I do prefer to crimp them versus I've seen guys use them like hammering them out, and I still do it here and there on my bigger cabled ones. Like if you look here, I smashed them a little bit. But if I'm going to smash them, I've also had one of these disposable stakes fail on me because I smashed it. So if you look, I only smashed the side closest to the loop. What that does is it keeps this end over here wide. And because you want that cable to stay as round as possible. Well, if you flatten the whole thing out, it can pull out. Again, the single strands, it slowly pulls out. And I've actually lost a trap because I did that. I smashed it all the way down flat, and the coyote was able to pop the loop. So now I start smashing them like this, where it's smashed on the one end. If you're going to use a hammer, I smash it only on the one end. And then maybe just a little bit, just to put pressure on that cable here. But most of the time, if I can crimp it, it's just a tighter all-around fit. So, just something to keep an eye out and think on. But, yeah, so I probably got enough cable here. But, build snares, I'll show you in my video how I build these. While I'm sitting here, probably throw a deer stop on here. So now when you run your deer stops in the state of Iowa, it can't close more than about there. There's actually a number, but I always go a little bit bigger. Your stuff's a little big, a little small. It's a used one. So I usually go a little bit bigger. I want them, that's probably a 3-inch loop. So that's a little more than they want. I think they want like a 2.5. Whatever about the size of a deer's foot. You want a deer to be able to pull out of them. Yeah, there we go. We got our deer stop in. And yeah, so that will keep that from closing. I mean, yeah, there's not much to them. And then later on, during the trapping season, I'll kind of show you. I generally, sometimes I'll make 2 different lengths of these. And I got another set somewhere. But I'll make a shorter set that instead of having this much extra tail, because I want to be able to stake that in the ground and have it quite a ways off the ground. I'll have them short, so they'll only be about this long. So I'll cut them here and put my swivel here. And what I use on those is when I'm on those pieces of private ground that I'm allowed to tie off to the fence, I could tie it right to the fence. And the fence acts like a shock absorber in itself. And for storage, I just wrap them. And I just kind of lock them in on themselves, and that kind of helps them keep from getting tangled up inside the pack basket. So I will wash and wax them. And I have switched from the silver ones to these black ones. Because I did notice last year I could see that shiny from the road. Or from the truck. But yeah, that's about it. I mean, we're pretty well set up. I'm just going to go to town making these. And yeah, like I said, that's about all I got for you guys. There isn't much more. I wish there was, but yeah, they're pretty easy to make. You just run a stop there, boom. Got yourself a disposable stake and a trap ready to go on the ground. Obviously, I do have to clean them. But yeah, this is, I don't think I showed you guys this yet, but this is my little trapping shed, and I try to keep this mess kind of contained. However, some of it has spilled out because all those buckets are full of my coyote traps out there. They need coyote and fox traps, so they need to be just washed, dyed. I might mess with wax, but I might not. Just because I plan on running a lot of dry dirt. I got 2 55-gallon drums that I'm going to fill up with just dry dirt. And I'll have 4 or 5, I'll end up having 4 or 5 just 5-gallon buckets at a time that I'll be running too. And then I'll have to keep 2 in the truck at all times. And, yeah. So, yeah, other than that, yeah, just a basic little tour here. I marked most of my stuff with pink flags. I got all my wire stretchers here. Obviously, there's some 330 hangers in there and brackets as well. Pack basket. I'm on the fence about that. That thing's kind of loud. But if I'm trapping off my bike this year, I got my sled, just some horse feed, and pretty much just a mess. I need more room, some cable on the wall, my little bends. I'm going to get a few more of them. Those are kind of nice. I wish they make them a little bit bigger. If I could get them like 3 times this size, so I could put in my cable, my snare swivels in there, because they're overflowing. Even my cam locks are overflowing because I got another bag back here. I got a bunch of S-hooks, which I'm trying to alleviate. That's why I ordered all these snap rings, is to get rid of them S-hooks. But yeah, I got my pile of drags there. I need to upgrade some of the chain on some of those. Yeah, otherwise, the mess of all my butchered snares that I've salvaged and I keep. If they catch, I keep and they go down in there, and then I use them for my cable stakes. But yeah, I messed up this year because I thought I had a great idea. I was going to put, that's all my wax sitting in that milk crate, but this isn't insulated or temperature controlled by any means, and needless to say, those aren't icicles. That wax got hot up there and it's slowly been melting all summer long. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Besides that, this is a mess. I don't have a whole lot of room to work in here, but that's what I got. I mean, we're set up for just about everything. We got all the coon cuffs out here. Got all my muskrat traps out here, my little number ones. Which, if you guys are curious, 50% of the time, these number ones are heavy enough to drown a muskrat. The other 50%, they're not. So, got the Bobcat sets here, long chains so I can tie them off. I think these are number 2s, number 2 or number 3 long springs. I welded on some electrical plate covers, modified. I want to paint these. I don't think I'll dip them. I'm going to cheat. I kind of painted this one. I really kind of like how it turned out. So, I do have some shingling material. Some shingles that I want to put on these to add some more texture to the pans. So, I do have quite a bit of work still to get ready, but heck, last year I didn't even dye them. I set them just like this, and I caught bobcat with them, and coon. So, they're used to smelling that rust smell, and they're running around farms and stuff. But yeah, we've just been working. I'm trying to get ready. I gotta wipe this all out, clean it all out, and a lot of this cable mess will be gone once I'm done making all the cable stakes. I do need to order more double ferrules. So, yeah. So that's about how we roll. Alright guys, well, if you got any questions, let me know. I mean, got a lot of work. Season's right around the corner. I need to get a hold of Trapper Jay and get some more of his bait. And then I got some of his lure. But yeah, I need to get a hold of him and get some more bait from him. And I might try a couple other brands. But you got to have variety. And I'm a firm believer in variety. Because if you miss one on, like let's say, I missed one that got smacked with a trap but got out on Trapper Jay's lure. Man, I'm pretty sure there's a good chance he's going to be a little more leery about approaching those sets with Trapper Jay's lure in it. So, you got to have variety on them. I mean, you know, I trap a lot of public lands or areas where other people are in there, or even areas that I've trapped in the past, and they tend to you get those trap-wise coyotes all the time. They're a constant problem, but yeah, let me know what you think and what types of bait is your favorites. I know I like the Hoosiers Top Dog. I like Trapper Jay's. Actually, Trapper Jay's all predator lure. I caught a nuisance. I got my nuisance permit, and I caught a nuisance bobcat on Trapper Jay. Just a lure. I literally just put a cotton ball with lure on the ground and put a trap in the walkthrough set for bobcat, and yeah, picked it up within a couple days. So, but yeah, I like Hoosiers. I'm playing around with Kansas trap line. I'd like to try some of that Applewood stuff, but I usually try 4 different companies every year. So, let me know what your favorite brands are. Thank you. Talk to you soon.